Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are covering DSP once again, also known as Darkside Phil or DSP Gaming. And we are covering him because he had an explosive meltdown over the Elden Ring DLC, because get this, the DLC is difficult. You know, From Software, known for making challenging games, made a difficult DLC. Mind-blowing. Now, for those of you who don't know who DSP is, you're lucky, but DSP is basically just an e-beggar, and basically a scammer, because he'll scam his audience by saying things like, I'm gonna lose my house if I don't hit this donation goal. Then he'll not hit the donation goal and not lose his house. He makes his viewers pay all of his bills for him, and the worst part is, he treats them like utter garbage. But most of you guys already know who DSP is, and you're here to see him rage over the Elden Ring DLC, so let's get into it.
None of my magic was effective at all. The Rain of Stars did like nothing. Like nothing was hurting it. The Rock Sling did nothing. Nothing, by the way, if you haven't noticed, absolutely nothing staggers in this DLC at all.
The first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that he's complaining that his magic build just isn't working. You know, you could always just switch your build using a larval tier and then switch back after. Not every single strategy is going to be good against every single boss. Now, I had to learn this the hard way. I had a strength build and it just was not working out. So what I did is I went and I respec into an arcane build and used that instead. The next thing you say is that the bosses in the DLC simply don't stagger. This is not true at all. I was playing the DLC on stream and people seen me make the boss stagger over and over and over again. You know, maybe the reason you're not making the bosses stagger is because you're using a magic build. Magic builds don't exactly do the most poise damage. If you want to make the bosses stagger, do a strength build. You can do a strength magic build and use like the giant Radon swords or whatever, and make the bosses stagger like that. Using spells and incantations is not going to make the bosses stagger very easily.
Nothing. No bosses. You know, these dragons in the main game, you hit them with the Rock Sling, they stagger. This guy has 0 stagger. He takes no stagger at all. No one does. It's very, very odd that nothing in this DLC takes any stagger damage.
Have you ever considered that maybe it's not the bosses not taking stagger damage, and it might be the fact that you're not dealing enough stagger damage? The bosses were staggering quite often when I used my Giant Crusher build. And maybe causing the boss to stagger just isn't a viable strategy for the boss you're fighting. You might have to try something like Bleed instead. Maybe you have to try a ice build.
So, I don't even know what else to do. Like, none of my magic is effective against him.
Here's a suggestion. If your magic build is not working against a boss, then do not use magic. When I got to Radagon, magic was not viable at all, and I had to switch up my build to continue.
Again, it seems like the way they built this DLC, certain things are just completely immune to a magic build. And mine, right now, I just can't do anything. Maybe I gotta skip them.
I mean, when I looked at the dragon's health bar, you're doing damage to him, it's just not the most effective way of doing it. Instead of complaining about it, maybe you could just get good? Hell, you don't even have to do that. Use a summon.
Again, I don't want to skip him, but how am I gonna beat him when I can't hurt him?
I mean, once again, you are doing damage to him, just not very effectively. And maybe you just gotta go around and explore a little bit more and collect more of those erdtree thingies, whatever they're called.
Right? It's gonna take me fucking an hour to kill anything. Yeah, I can't kill him. I can't hurt him enough.
Of course you can't hurt him, you're constantly getting hit by his attacks. If you memorized his attack patterns, and then dodged his attacks, maybe you'd be able to get in some attacks of your own. It's pointless to even give this guy advice, because there's only one way for him. It's his way or the fucking highway.
I'm really hurting him, like pummeling him, and it doesn't do any damage, so I'm gonna be honest, yeah, this is dumb.
Elden Ring is dumb because your build isn't effective against the boss you're fighting. That's a really smart thing to say.
They kind of fucked this DLC up. It's not that the enemies are hard, they just kill you too fast.
Then maybe try using things put into the game to make it easier for yourself so you don't take as much damage. You could try using things like crystal tears, talismans, like the little consumables, golden vow, flame grant me strength. It's expected that you have the things you need for this DLC because you've had 2.5 years to prepare for it. Also, a viewer pointed out to me, I don't know if it's true or not, that you don't understand soft caps, so you're just putting like 99 strength. You're wasting like 20 points of your levels. Maybe don't waste your points and allocate them better?
So I can't learn a pattern. I'm never going to win a fight against something that either I can't deal damage or it deals insane damage to me. It's completely unbalanced. This is really dumb. A fucking generic dragon. A generic dragon won't take damage from me for some reason. Like, why won't it take any fucking damage? It's a stupid dragon. I fought a million of them in the main game. They're no big deal, but it won't take damage, then I can't win.
It's hilarious to me that a guy whose entire channel is based around playing video games for the past 20 or 15 years doesn't know the concept of changing your strategy. Maybe that garbage mage build that you have just isn't going to cut it for this DLC.
So I can't do this. So now we gotta remember, the boss up here can't kill till I get more of these scud tree bullshits. This lake can't kill the dragon till I get more scud tree bullshits. This is dumb. They're actually forcing me to not play the game.
That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life. Because your shitty mage build is not working against the boss you are fighting, they are forcing you to not play the game. And no, they're just encouraging exploration if you want to make the bosses easier for yourself by putting collectible items around.
So I guess I come back later. Can't do it right now. Nothing I can do about that. That's the design choice they decided to make for the DLC, and I'm going to be honest, it's not fun. That's not a fun design choice. That I have to limit what I can do in the DLC because they expect me to go around collecting upgrades.
Oh no, you have to explore around the DLC to make it easier for yourself? It's almost like that's the exact same case with the base game. In the base game, you have to collect smithing stones in order to upgrade your weapons if you want to do any damage to the bosses. In the DLC, you have to collect the little erdtree thingies.
Like, if people are like, go respec. I don't think that's the point. The point is, they designed it so that you can't win until you collect shit. See what I'm saying?
I mean, if you were to respec, you could probably easily beat that boss, but once again, you're extremely stubborn, so you won't take anyone's advice.
So I have to go collect stuff in order to kill anything, any of these bosses. It's not, oh, I need to respec because my build is bad. It's that nothing will work because I'm, like, massively underpowered until I get all the upgrades.
I wonder if there was a very simple solution to that problem, such as collecting the upgrades?
I don't think, if I go respec right now, I bet I still wouldn't kill it. I could put any build in I want, I won't do damage to it. Absolute garbage. The game still sucks. More bugs. Seriously? We already fought these. We already fought these in the dungeon. Why are we fighting them outside of the dungeon? Did they seriously have to reuse enemies this early? Wow, that's super lame. Wow, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, we're hitting almost 5 hours in.
Oh my god, get this, they reused 3 bugs. Holy shit, it's the end of the world. Also, maybe the enemies are just in multiple locations and it's not exactly reused. I don't know, I haven't encountered those bugs yet. And who cares if they reuse 3 bugs?
Dude, they already gave up. We're already got repeat enemies now?
Yup, From Software has just surrendered because they reused a couple bugs.
They couldn't be bothered to put other enemies in this town than what you already fought in the dungeon.
Or maybe the enemies are just in multiple locations. That's like saying in the final level of Super Mario Bros, because they have Goombas, they reuse the enemy.
Chrome Cub says everything will feel a lot more doable when you hit 4 to 5 Scooter Tree upgrades. I do agree it's bad design. You have to get that much to make it not so frustrating. It's dumb. I just want to play the DLC. No, you have to go around now and look for these fucking stupid items. Can I just play?
You absolutely can just play the DLC, but you won't be as effective as if you went around and explored and got the upgrades. It's your choice whether or not you want to get the upgrades. You're gonna have a harder time if you don't. And oh no, they're making you explore the DLC they spent 2 years working on. Also, is it completely an unheard of concept that you have to explore to progress in an open world game?
No, I didn't know that. I don't know why they designed it like that. Other DLCs have never been like that in any FromSoft game. They invented a new mechanic for this, and I don't like it. I just want to play it. And the funny part is, I could beat a lot. Like, I just beat a dungeon, right? I beat the major dungeon, got to the boss, can't kill it, because I can't fucking survive more than a hit, right? I get to this fucking dragon, can't hurt it. So now I just gotta waste time going in circles looking for upgrade items instead of fucking playing the game. That's just dumb.
You know what I find hilarious? The fact that all of a sudden it's an issue that you have to explore, but the base game was like that too, and nobody had an issue with it. If you didn't collect smithing stones, you are going to struggle heavily with the game. But why is it an issue all of a sudden? Also, if you don't want to be bothered to look for the upgrades, just pull out an interactive map and go grab them.
I do feel like this Scooter Tree bullshit is a real big misstep. They fucked it up.
That's funny because you're the only person so far I've seen complaining about it. I see a lot of complaints about the Elden Ring DLC, about the performance and difficulty, but nobody's really talking about the erdtree thingies that you have to pick up, whatever they're called. Also, I thought you said the bosses don't stagger, but there you were staggering a boss.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and save, and I guess we'll resume here tomorrow.
And that pretty much wraps up this video. He goes on to rage quit and rides off into the sunset. But yeah, the Elden Ring DLC is apparently bad because you have to change up your tactics in order to do well in it.